Fake HOA claimed numismatic expertise, got fake medals, and lost their money. Have you ever trusted someone so completely, only to watch your dreams shatter like glass under their lies? In the heart of Willow Creek, a quiet town obsessed with history, the annual numismatic auction was the event of the year. Collectors from across the state gathered under a striped tent, their eyes gleaming with hope for rare coins and medals. At the center of it all was HOA Karen, a woman whose sharp suits and sharper tongue had convinced everyone she was a numismatic genius. She strutted through the crowd, her voice booming as she authenticated medals with a flick of her wrist, her confidence magnetic. "This is a genuine 18th century naval medal," she'd declare, holding up a gleaming piece, her words silencing doubters. The Homeowners Association, which she chaired, had entrusted her with a $50,000 budget to acquire treasures for their community museum. Everyone believed in her. Everyone, that is, until the first crack appeared. HOA's rise to power was no accident. She'd moved to Willow Creek 2 years prior, armed with a polished resume and stories of her decades in numismatics. She dazzled the HOA with tales of spotting a rare 1794 silver dollar at a flea market and flipping it for thousands. Her credentials seemed airtight certificates, letters of recommendation, even a blog with glossy photos of coins she claimed to own. She volunteered to oversee the auction, promising to secure artifacts that would put Willow Creek on the map. The HOA, desperate to elevate their small museum, handed her the reins. But whispers had started. Local collector Tom Hargrove, a quiet man with a knack for spotting fakes, noticed inconsistencies in HOA's stories. Why did her rare medals lack proper mint marks? Why did her certificates feel off? He kept his suspicions to himself, but his gut screamed trouble. The auction day was electric. Bidders packed the tent, their wallets heavy with anticipation. HOA stood at the podium, her smile a mix of charm and command. She unveiled a set of medals she'd sourced herself, a supposed collection from a Napoleonic-era shipwreck. The crowd gasped as she described their provenance, her voice weaving a tale of sunken treasure and heroic sailors. Bids soared past $40,000. The HOA's funds were nearly depleted, but HOA urged them on, claiming the medals were a steal. Then came the twist. A stranger slipped into the tent, unnoticed by most. Clara, a retired curator from a nearby museum, had been tipped off by Tom. She carried a small magnifying loupe and a binder of authentication records. Her presence was a spark in a powder keg. Clara didn't wait long. As HOA held up a gleaming medal, proclaiming it a one-of-a-kind relic, Clara stood. "May I examine it?" she asked, her voice calm but cutting. The crowd froze. HOA's smile faltered, but she handed over the medal, her eyes narrowing. Clara peered through her loupe, then flipped open her binder. "This medal's alloy is wrong," she said, her words slicing through the tent's hum. "The inscriptions don't match any known Napoleonic designs. It's a fake." Gasps rippled through the crowd. HOA laughed, a brittle sound, insisting Clara was mistaken. But Clara wasn't done. She pointed to the certificate HOA had provided, a document supposedly from a renowned auction house. "This is forged," Clara said, holding up a photocopy of the real auction house's letterhead for comparison. The fonts didn't match. The crowd's murmurs grew into a roar. HOA's facade cracked. She snapped, "You're just jealous," and lunged for the certificate, tearing it in her hands. The crowd surged forward, their trust unraveling. Tom, who'd been silent, stepped up with his own evidence. Photos of HOA's blog coins, cross-referenced against a database of known fakes. Every medal she'd sourced was a counterfeit, churned out by a notorious scam ring. The HOA's $50,000 had bought nothing but polished junk. Bidders shouted, demanding refunds. One man, a retiree who'd spent his savings, wept openly. HOA's defiance turned desperate. She shoved past Clara, knocking over a display case. Medals scattered across the dirt, their cheap metal glinting mockingly. "You don't understand," she screamed, but the crowd wasn't listening. They wanted justice. The confrontation exploded. Local police, called by a bidder, arrived as HOA tried to flee. They stopped her at the tent's edge, where she stood, disheveled, still clutching a fake medal. Clara and Tom presented their evidence: the forged certificates, the mismatched alloys, the blog's plagiarized images. The HOA board, humiliated, demanded answers. HOA's lies unraveled further when a quick call to the auction house confirmed they'd never worked with her. She'd fabricated everything: her expertise, her credentials, her promises. The crowd's anger was a tidal wave. The retiree, his voice shaking, asked, "Why did you do this to us?" HOA had no answer, only a glare that flickered between fear and defiance. The police led her away as the crowd booed, the sound echoing across Willow Creek. HOA's downfall was swift and brutal. The HOA filed charges for fraud and embezzlement. Her blog was exposed as a sham, her social media accounts deleted overnight. The town turned on her, their trust replaced by bitter scorn. The museum, meant to be a point of pride, became a cautionary tale. Clara and Tom worked to recover what they could, but most of the $50,000 was gone, funneled to offshore accounts tied to the scam ring. HOA faced years in court, her name synonymous with betrayal. The medals, once symbols of glory, were now evidence in a case that shattered Willow Creek's innocence. Yet from the ashes, hope stirred. Clara and Tom rallied the town, launching a crowdfunding campaign to rebuild the museum's collection. Locals donated heirlooms, and collectors offered authentic coins at cost. The museum reopened months later, smaller but honest, a testament to resilience. Willow Creek learned a hard lesson. Trust is precious, but blind trust is perilous. HOA's scam had stung, but it sparked a unity no one expected. The town's heart beat stronger, forged in the fire of truth. What would you do if you discovered someone you trusted was a fraud? Share your thoughts. Show, do we balance trust with vigilance in a world full of HS?